Namaste. Hello, everyone. So I just finished reading a book called Humankind, A Hopeful History. And it's by, I've written in some notes here, by Rutger Bregman. So he's actually a Dutch author. And it's a very interesting book. The premise of it is just a question of like, is it this or this? Are humans uh, innately good, and when it comes down to it, they will do good, or are humans innately evil? Um, you know, selfish, greedy, all that, and when if left to their own devices, um, will be horrible to each other, basically. So the basically my kind of 1 to 2 sentence conclusion what I heard, or what I read rather. I heard because I did do an audiobook. I was listening to it. Was and he went through a lot of research in all so many areas of life, and over again, the tendency is when humans are doing what humans do best and are connecting with each other. That's one thing we are wired to do, is connect with each other. When we connect with each other, we are amazingly kind and caring and thoughtful and help each other out of the kindness of our hearts. And then if humans are in situations where they're isolated, they're deprived of basic needs, or they're deprived of that connection, then that wiring of protectiveness that we have within to keep ourselves safe and secure, that becomes dominant, and we become more cruel to each other. I guess that would be it. Cruelty then ends up being cultivated at that point. So on one hand, that just conclusion, I was like, yeah, that makes total sense, especially with, I mean, other just basic biology, science of humans. Um, but so so my question then is, okay, so if that's kind of how it is, if that's, I mean, so many examples over and over again. So how do we as humans stay and foster connection? So this is where yoga for me at least, has come in my life. Yoga beyond a yoga pose. I mean, let's just even start with the yoga class. Whether it's a yoga class, an exercise class, like when we get to do activities with groups that we commit to and we go to regularly, that's connection right there, right? I mean, I think about my classes, and I always am talking, you know, to Greg about my regulars, and I just enjoy getting to know people over time, and just the relationship that um, grows from that sprouts and grows. So that's up right there, right? Doing a yoga class helps with connection. So there's connection to others, right? And then there's also connection within. And to me, both of these are important. Both of these need to be um, focused on, or effort put into them. And I would say by doing one, the other happens, and vice versa. They kind of feed off each other, I would say. So with yoga and thinking specifically about Raja Yoga and Patanjali Yoga Sutras, this is this is the very first um, step in Patanjali's prescription to end suffering is is a word called ahimsa, and that comes from Sanskrit. Some of you, if you worked with me, know this word. Ahimsa. So himsa actually means to kill, um, or to slay, and placing that a in front of it in the Sanskrit language means the opposite. So it's non-kill, or basically non-violence, non-harm. And so the other thing I was doing this a couple days ago, because I've been thinking a lot. I've just been really sitting and watching things that are here in Jeju Island, South Korea, really watching and observing what the reactions and responses have been around the presidential election and subsequently the inauguration and what's been unfolding. And more, I've been observing the reactions and responses to what's happening. So I'm trying to focus more on what's being bothered versus the botherer. And the other thing I think a lot about is communication. That's a big part of what it is, how I work and support women. And so I googled nonviolent communication, and there's the Center for Nonviolent Communication came up that I never actually really heard about. And that's not true. I feel like somewhere along the line I did, but it had faded into memory. And so just getting reacquainted with that. And I scrolled down in the first line, Marshall Rosenberg, who was the founder of that, he passed away in 2015, but the center continues. There was a quote from him, and he said, Ahimsa is the principle which nonviolent communication is built upon. And he defined ahimsa as the natural state of compassion when no violence is present in the heart. I just actually, I can feel, oh, I just want to cry. That's just so beautiful to me. And what an amazing thing to work towards, to have that as a guiding principle of how to live life. And so this principle of Raja Yoga, the very first yama, um, one of the very first steps of practicing yoga is working on cultivating ahimsa. And so this is what I want to extend as an invitation to you. I know that there is a lot of fear, pain, worry, disbelief, anger, sadness, so much more, just swirling around. Yes, I completely get that, completely understand it. And if we stay stuck in that, it's going to bring us down. It will basically, we will become casualties along with everything else. And that is not what any of us can afford to have happen right now. Like, if you're having that reaction, let's use it, and use it to practice ahimsa. To practice, let me say this again, cultivating the natural state of compassion when no violence is present in the heart. Okay? Because if we stay in all those emotions, this is where cynicism starts to breed. And I've definitely caught myself over the years in this. And so I also just, this actually comes from the book um, Humankind, the very end. Bregman says that, oh, I wrote it on a different sticky note. Basically, that cynicism, I'll paraphrase it, cynicism is another word for laziness. And being a cynic allows a person to basically say, I'm not responsible for the state of the world. I'm not responsible for this injustice. It has nothing to do with me, and keeps us from taking action. And I was like, whoa, yeah, I can see that happen in myself when cynicism rises. So if we're practicing ahimsa, there's no space for cynicism, actually, because being that cynic, thinking that humans are innately like, we're going to kill ourselves off the planet, which I definitely, I have to fight that. Like we're just, the world would be better without us, all of that. Um, it, yeah, it definitely, that adds, I should say this, that adds to violence. It's like being a bystander and not doing anything, right? And so many of us in the US have become bystanders. We're willing to get upset and preach what everyone else is doing wrong and not, and then that's it, and not take any action. And this is something that, reading this book, I'm like, whew, I have definitely got some work to do personally. And I know I'm not alone in that. And so, with yoga being my path of self exploration and of being in the world, working on creating a world that has more love, kindness, compassion, a word that, or the path that is helping me move more and more towards a state of ahimsa. Um, it's really important for me to get honest, satya, that's the next yama, get truthful and honest, with myself. Where is cynicism rising up? Where is that negativity coming up? Um, where am I trying to distance myself so I can not do the hard stuff, right? It's not, and again, it's not that we always have to be doing the hard stuff. I don't want that. We need to be in joy too. We need to be enjoying our lives. Like, what's happening doesn't need to consume us every single day. Just small steps. This is where I say, so if you think about in your life, what is one area where you want to become more aware of when himsa, when violence or harm is happening, and what's one action you want to start taking? That's our part. That is what we can do, is say, I have no tolerance, not for a person, but I have no tolerance for acts that are harmful, that are violent. And we have to start with ourselves, because if we, those seeds of violence are within all of us, and it's our job to keep vigil and keep rooting them out, like we're rooting out weeds, right? And the more we do that, we're putting that in a positive, that more ahimsa, compassionate energy out into the world. We're models for others. And it's contagious. It ripples out. And I would say it ripples out more over time than fear. Fear cannot exist when ahimsa is happening. And in fact, I'll leave you with that is the definition. The sutra in the Yoga Sutras says that one who is in a state of ahimsa, anyone, anything, any being that comes in contact or is even near that person, that in that energy, forgets any of their own notions of violence. Wow, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? So that's what I just want to throw out to you, leave you with this week, thinking about ahimsa and cynicism, and reflect on yourself, thinking about what's one action that you can start to take after identifying an area where the harm is happening, right? All right. And I'd love to hear it. Post. I would love to hear what you come up with. It would be awesome. Love it. Let's have this dialogue. That's important. So, all right. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Namaste.